I told my girlfriend he's all yours after girls' night lies, so Rafe blocked her in 10 minutes. I sent him the screenshots and gate log. A rideshare alert flagged RafeH phone. Her bags landed on his porch. She was put on leave. And I walked away from the house deal and moved on with Rafe. She screamed, "I'm leaving you for a real man," by the Saturday Pier Market, loud enough for strangers to stare. I replied, "He's all yours," and I walked away like my feet were made of stone. Then I sent him the screenshots, and what he learned about her girls' nights made him block her in 10 minutes. My name is Calder Stenwick, and I was 40 when this happened. I live in Port Townsend, Washington, in a small house that smells like cedar planks and fresh coffee. Our boot tray is always full of wet gravel. The kettle whistles every morning, and the porch light flickers when the wind comes off the water. I work in access control for a shipyard and 2 small clinics. I reset keycards, fix door readers, and review entry logs when something goes missing. Most people think it is dull, but it taught me one rule: access granted should never come without trust. I had been with a low-end stride for 3 years, and we lived together for 1. She was 38, a cardiac nurse, and she had the calm voice patients trust right away. We were 4 days from closing on a house in Chimacum, and the lender wanted final signatures by Wednesday night. That deadline sat on us like a heavy box. We packed plates, labeled bins, and stored extra stuff in a rented unit outside town. We even joked that the storage place was our time machine, hiding the past so we could start clean. Aloan also had a routine she defended like a law: girls' night. At first it was harmless, but soon it felt like a curtain she pulled down whenever I looked too close. The nights stretched and her stories got short. I kept hearing the same line, "Don't wait up," like it was a script, and every time she said it, I felt a little less sure of the person beside me. One Tuesday she came home after midnight and moved like she did not want the floor to squeak. Her face showed quiet guilt for a blink, then she set her jaw and walked past me. I asked, "Everything okay?" And she said, "Work was rough, don't make this a thing." That was our first confrontation. I asked why she did not text, and she said, "I'm tired of reporting my life." I backed off, but a simple thought stayed: tired people still tell the truth. A week later, I was at a marine supply store buying hose clamps for my skiff. The place smelled like rope, rubber, and wet rain jackets, and the bell over the door kept chiming. My phone buzzed with an email titled Gate Access Log, and the preview showed Aloan's code used at 1:16 a.m. I stared at that line until the letters blurred. Our storage unit was not on her route from the hospital to home, and she had told me she slept at a friend's place after girls' night because she was too tired to drive. I did not call her in a rage. Here is the first practical thing I learned when panic hits: pause and gather facts. Anger feels strong, but it makes you sloppy, and sloppy loses the truth. The next morning, I checked our truck's navigation history. It is our shared truck, and the screen keeps recent places for either of us. 3 late-night destinations jumped out: the Breakwater Taproom, a marina address, and Hallowell Boatworks. I had never heard of Hallowell Boatworks, but I knew the marina because it sits past the bright shops where the docks turn dark. That was the first receipt, and it was location, and it made my stomach tighten. I stayed quiet and kept moving like nothing was wrong. If you tip your hand too early, liars learn how to dodge you. So I do what I do at work. I follow the trail and wait for the next scan. On Tuesday night, she left again. Same tote bag, same perfume, same quick goodbye. She said, "I'll be back before midnight so we can sign the lender forms." The door clicked shut, and I felt the house go hollow. I opened our shared laptop to pull the closing documents. A chat window was already open, still logged in, like the truth forgot to hide. And that is when the second receipt dropped into my lap without me even reaching for it. The group thread name was Mimosas Mayhem. A message said, "Tell Rafe to park by the clinic lot again, it's easier than the marina gate." Another line followed, "If Cal asks, say we crashed at a friend's, no drama." Then I saw a direct message from a contact saved as RafeH. He wrote, "She's still with him tonight," Aloan replied. "He thinks it's girls' night like always." That was the second receipt, and it was communication. No rumors, no guessing, just words. I took clean screenshots and stopped, because truth does not need extra digging to be sharp. Here is the second practical thing. If something is on a shared screen, capture it and step back. Do not snoop for entertainment, and do not add lies to a truth you did not create. Eloin came home at 2:03 a.m. She saw me at the table and froze. Her face went soft with guilt, then hard with anger, like she flipped a switch and tried to scare me quiet. She asked, "Why are you up?" I said, "We will talk after sleep, not now." She rolled her eyes and muttered, "You always need control," and she shut the bedroom door. By morning, I checked the joint card account because money and paper were tied to both of us. There was a large purchase at Harbor Line Outfitters on the same night she claimed she slept elsewhere. The bank portal showed the image receipt, 2 matching waterproof jackets bought together. That was the third receipt, and it was money. It did not prove every detail, but it proved the pattern had teeth. And it made me think of my rule again: access granted should not be free when the cost is your future. I did the boring steps that keep you safe later. I called the lender and told them not to accept any signature without speaking to me. I also changed the storage unit gate code because my name was the leaseholder. Here is practical advice number 3. When a deadline is close, protect your name first and your pride second. You can be kind and still lock down access to shared accounts and codes. Friday came and the pier market was packed. I went to clear my head, not to start a scene. That is when Eloin walked up with a man beside her, tall, broad, hands rough like he worked with wood. She said his name like it was a trophy. "This is Rafe." He nodded once, polite, eyes steady, and I could smell sawdust and varnish on his shirt. Eloin lifted her chin and screamed, "I'm leaving you for a real man." My ears rang, and people stared like they were watching street theater. I kept my voice low and said, "He's all yours." Then I pushed once, "So this is what girls' night was," and she snapped, "You drove me to it." That was our second confrontation. She blamed my questions, my calm, my job, everything except her choices. She leaned in and hissed, "Don't contact him, don't embarrass me," like the market scream never happened. I walked away and I did not yell back. Calm is not weakness, it is control over your own mouth. And control matters when the next move can change your whole life. In my truck, I gathered the screenshots in one thread: location, chats, and the jacket receipt. I added the gate access log email because it showed the move had started before the shouting. Then I wrote Rafe a short message with no insults, only facts, and I sent it. He called within 2 minutes. His voice was quiet, careful, like he was stepping on broken glass. He asked, "Is she still living with you?" And I answered, "Yes, and we were buying a house." He went silent, then said, "She told me you were her roommate and you were moving out this week." That lie hit harder than her public scream because it was clean and practiced. I said, "She lied to both of us," and I heard him swallow like he was fighting nausea. He asked about the storage log, and I explained it came to me because the lease is shared and my address is on it. He said, "She gave me the gate code yesterday," and his tone turned cold. Then he added, "She said she was moving her last things out of a roommate place." Right then, my phone buzzed with a Rideshare alert from our shared account. It said a new device logged in, and the device name showed as RafeH phone. That was the killer receipt, the app login history that tied her girls' nights to a single lie. I read the alert to him, and the line went quiet. He finally said, "So she used my phone to hide rides, and she used your money to buy matching jackets." I did not gloat, I only said, "I'm sorry she pulled you into this." He answered, "If she can lie clean to both of us, she can lie to anyone." The call ended, and 10 minutes after my first text his thread turned gray. Blocked, like a door slamming shut with no second chance. A minute later, a picture arrived from a different number. Eloin's bags were lined up on a porch, shoes, duffel, and her tote bag like a sad parade. Rafe wrote, "She already dropped these here. She is not coming inside, and I don't want her back." I sat there and felt relief mixed with grief. Not joy, just the weight of a lie finally meeting a wall. And I realized she had planned this move long before she screamed at the market. That night, I met my lawyer, Garrick Malloy, at a coin laundromat by the docks. The dryers rumbled like distant thunder, and the air smelled like soap and salt. Garrick was 63, calm eyes, steady hands, and he read the screenshots like he was checking weather. He gave short guidance with no long lecture. He told me to keep copies, speak in writing, and never post online. Then he said to change access codes and remove shared permissions tonight, because access granted is a privilege. I did what he said, even though my hands shook. I removed Alohan from the joint card as an authorized user. I changed the mailbox code and updated the closing portal password because my future was not a public hallway. On Monday, I reported one part of the chat to the clinic compliance inbox. Alohan had bragged about bringing Rafe through staff-only parking to avoid fees on girls' nights. It was a breach, and my job is to close breaches, even when my stomach turns doing it. 2 days later, she was placed on leave while they reviewed it. Hospitals are small worlds where silence becomes judgment. When someone vanishes from the schedule, people fill the gap with whispers and side looks. The legal climax came Wednesday evening at the County Mediation Center. Beige walls, stale coffee, a ticking clock that made every pause feel louder. Alohan sat across from me with red eyes and a stiff jaw, and Garrick sat beside me like a stone post. We were there to untangle the house contract and the earnest money. Alohan tried to act like the proof did not matter, like this was only paperwork. Garrick slid the screenshots across and said, "We will keep this simple." Alohan denied first. "Those screenshots are out of context," she said, voice flat and cold. Then she minimized, "It was just nights out, you're turning it into a crime." Then came the partial admit. "Fine, I lied about some of it," she said, eyes darting away. And then the emotional move hit, tears with anger. "I needed someone strong and you made me feel small." I kept my voice low, because shouting feeds the story she wanted. "Strong people tell the truth before they pack bags in secret," I said. For the first time, she had no comeback, only the sound of that clock. We signed a clean release. She stepped off the purchase, and I agreed to return her share of the earnest money once the seller approved the change. When she left the room, her shoulders shook, and the door closed with a soft click that felt final. I did not buy that house. I let the deal go because I refused to build a future on a broken trail. I moved into a short sublet, a studio in a converted barn on a lavender farm outside Sequim, where the air smelled clean. Work got harder, then better. I kept showing up, fixing what needed fixing, and I took the hit when people whispered. 6 months later, I was promoted to Regional Access Systems Manager because steady work outlasts loud drama. Rafe sent one message a few weeks after the market. "You all right," he wrote, and it felt more human than anything Alohan had said in months. I answered, "Getting there," and that small honesty opened a new door. We met at a coffee cart by the marina and talked like two men comparing storms. He admitted he believed the roommate's story because it fit what he wanted. I told him the hard lesson: access granted should come with proof, not hope. Time did what it does. The friendship stayed calm and steady, then it turned into something quieter and real. No big announcements, no public scenes, just two people choosing honesty on purpose. Alohan tried to reach me again through a work contact after her leave became a formal warning and a transfer. She wrote, "You didn't have to send those screenshots, like truth was a weapon instead of a mirror." I did not reply because my answer was already written in the steps I took. Last week, almost a year later, I ate dinner at a fish taco food truck near Boat Haven. Rafe sat across from me, hands still rough from cedar and varnish, smile easy and calm. The wind smelled like salt and lime, and for once I felt like I could breathe. As we walked back to the truck, my phone buzzed with a new email from the lender. The subject line read, "Attempted document access, please confirm," and my stomach tightened. I stared at it and thought, some people never stop testing doors, they just try new handles. I left that night knowing I would not chase a person who kept choosing lies. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel.